Welcome to Spotlight. I'm your host, Fitzroy Prendergast. In this week's feature, we'll be talking with the chairman of Burrito, Mrs. Rita Humphries-Lewin. Speaking now with Mrs. Rita Humphries-Lewin, she is the founder and chairman of the Barita Investment Group, and we want to talk to you a little bit about some of the issues relating to Burrito. Burrito is celebrating 35 years in the business. That's a big milestone. Let's talk a little bit about you as an individual. Tell us a little bit about where you were born and how you got involved in this, the financial sector. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi. I was born in Kingston. I went Immaculate, and I really loved maths, but I just couldn't find what I wanted to do. So after fifth form, I left school, graduated, left school. I didn't want to go to sixth form because I was very unsure as to what I wanted to do. Went out, worked, and then I found this job that took me to Canada. And there I ran into what I loved, what I liked, and I've stuck with it ever since.
So
that was 1962 in Independence.
Okay.
So I'm the Independence girl.
Okay, interesting. So you went to Canada, you found, what you found in Canada?
Well, the company that employed me, recruited me to go to Canada for 6 months of training. And they were going to set up a stockbroking firm in Jamaica. Because they had done issues for Jamaica already. They had done issues for telephone company, Carib Cement, had done issues for JPS and cement company in Canada. And so they saw Pitfield here, which is another Canadian company, and they thought, let me go and join them. Because they figured that, you know, since they've done 2 public offerings in Canada for them, there is some potential here. That's how I got into this. And I won't lie, when I got there and saw the ticker tape flying, and I realized what was happening, that's when I discovered my niche.
You went to Canada, you saw this, you got involved in the business. How did you learn the intricacies of stock brokerage?
Well, that's what I was taken there for. I was taken there to be trained because they were setting up a branch office in Jamaica, and then they needed somebody in the administrative side of it. Mm-hmm. And he came down with myself and one other person who was Carl Hall, who was a trader. He was a manager. Jack Cameron was a manager. Myself, I was a secretary and doing all the administrative work. And Carl Hall. So I can't help but learn the business because we didn't have a stock exchange then. And so Jack Cameron from our company and Pitfield Mackay got together with the governor of the Bank of Jamaica, and they formed this what you call over-the-counter market, informal market, where we sat down every day between 10 and 12, or 10 and 11, it was much then at that time, and traded stocks. And write it down on paper, and we sign each other, you know.
So are you saying to me that you got involved in this Jamaica informal stock market before you formed Burrito?
Yeah. No, longer before. I worked with Annis and Company. I started with them in 1962. I left them in Annis and Company became investment brokers in maybe early 70s. And I left there in 1973 because the socialism thing was turning everything upside down. A lot of businesses were closing. I mean, people were literally running. You know that?
Yes.
Or you probably have heard about it. And people would lock up their house and gone and run by night. I mean, I couldn't understand what was going on. So you found that a lot of things just crashed, literally crashed. Because as I said, I left there in 1973 when I discovered that things were going bad. And I went to work. I took another job. And after that job expired in 1976, by that time, only 2 brokers were left. One was managing his own account on Pitfield. And I saw the opportunity to start Burrito in 1977.
So in 1977, you started Barita. What motivated you, separate and apart from the fact that you had this experience in Canada and there was an informal market?
No, no, no. Sorry, I'm sorry. The informal market developed into a formal market because in 1969 the stock exchange was launched.
Right.
But by 1973, a lot of people had left.
So apart from the stock exchange that you were intricately involved in, and the fact that you were trained in Canada in this business, was there any other motivation that led you into forming Burrito? What was the the biggest motivation?
Oh, the biggest motivation is that I was hungry. I thought I had gone away from that now and I'd done 10 years of it, and I was comfortable. And I went to work with the government at the time. Everybody was very excited about the new trend that Jamaica was taking until the real thing the bubble started to burst. So I took my chance and I went out into the government sector for 3 years. And then after that, I realized that was not really where I belong. And so I came out and was doing a little consulting and knocking around the place literally. And then I was encouraged by my other colleagues to come back into the business, to start a company. And I did. And that's how Burrito was formed.
All right. In the early days of Burrito, tell us a little bit about it. How difficult was it for you starting a new company in probably an economy that was not, the best? How difficult was it for you?
Well, I'll tell you something. We always say men do not support women, or men do not encourage women. The guys that I remember, there were 10 brokerage houses. And by the time I left there, I was officially a trader. And I was officially a stockbroker because I had done all the exams in Canada. When I left there, all these guys, their companies had also closed. So 10 of us were trading on the stock exchange up to 1969. Sorry, up to 1973. And when I left there, they all moved into insurance company management, investment, fund management, managing the portfolios of insurance companies. They went into banks. Trust companies were very prevalent then. And trust companies handled a lot of investments for people. So they were all there, and they encouraged me to come back. You'd be surprised to know. I was really put on my feet by my male colleagues. And I started the company, and they supported me 100%. I got a lot of business from them.
Really?
And from day one, I started to make money.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're fortunate.
Very fortunate.
You didn't encounter the normal pitfalls.
No, but that's what I'm telling you. It is the guys. Remember now, I was the only woman among 9 other guys. And we were so close. We used to go to lunch together every day after trading. So we became very close friends. And they are the ones that encouraged me. And the only thing when I look back, I can say, maybe because they had young families and I was married. And they figure, well, you can take the chance. We can't take that chance. And so they encouraged me, and in encouraging me, they gave me a lot of business because they were in the driver's seat in these companies, in the investment seat. So they knew what I could do.
As a female, I had this question too. As a female, business is normally dominated by men, as you know, at the top echelons of the business. How difficult was it for you to be taken as a serious business person, as a female, in those days?
Well, when I worked at Annett & Company, which became Investment Brokers, I had a problem. And my boss even asked me one day, do I want to earn the same as the men? I said, no, I want to earn more. But that is what you got, right? But yes, I had it from the clients at that time. They would come in and they would rather deal with a male clerk than me, a stockbroker. That would happen. But then from I started my business, I had the support of all my male colleagues.
How do you deal with that though, as the person? How do you deal with that sort of resistance in terms of...
You have to let it run off your back, like water. You can't, if you get upset, you're going to lose your way.
Were there any nervous moments for this company celebrating 35 years now, when you look back, at the history of Burrito, were there any nervous moments for you as a business person that you can look back and say, you've been fortunate?
I've been fortunate, let me put it that way. I really haven't had a nervous moment because, as I said, these guys supported me 100%. And I found that I started making money from day one. Now I'm very frugal and very careful with money. And I put it away. As a matter of fact, by 1984, I bought this piece of land to build this building. And I started in 77. Right? So I have always been lucky that way. That I have not. But I guess it's more than luck, eh? I think that because you're careful and you're not reckless, good things come to you.
Exactly. Right. How did you position Barita? I mean, normally, right now we have a lot of brokerage firms in Jamaica. Now, how do you position this company to just not be any other company, but to have, a little bit more? Because in a business that is so competitive, you've got to have that extra edge to always make sure you're one of your competitor. How do you position this company right now?
How do I do that? That's a big question. I think I have, we have a motto that the client's money is not ours to spend or to play with. That's the first thing. Secondly, as I say, I'm not a spendthrift, and so I'm very careful with money. Thirdly, this company has never made a loss in the 35 years of its existence.
Wow.
And so it positions itself, let me put it that way. It drives itself because people have confidence in you. They see that you are not wasteful. They see that you are not careless, and their money is safe. So really, that has helped to maintain the stability of the company and the growth.
I want you to compare for me. We spoke a little bit about the stock exchange then.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to look at the stock exchange now and compare it for me. How significantly, we just started this junior market, and there are, activities now happening, especially with smaller companies on the stock exchange. I would love for you to compare for me the stock exchange then and now, and if you see a dramatic difference in terms of the quality of the trading and the enthusiasm in persons trying to get onto the stock exchange.
No, the enthusiasm is not there. If I tell you that in 1969, let me put it at 1970, in the middle of the period at which exchange was really alive, there were 60 companies listed on the stock exchange, and there were 10 brokers, and we traded every day. No, we weren't competing with the money market, because there was no money market at that time. And so investors had no choice but to come to the stock market, because it paid dividends, and there were a lot of companies that were tax-free, and it was a good business. It was good. When I came back into the market was, we had, some of the companies had come off the exchange, but most of them were still there. But over the period, it has dwindled down to 40-something, although we have new listings from time to time. I'm not talking about the junior market now, the senior market. And that it is been really destroyed by what we call a high interest rate regime that was introduced in this country. Because you could not do better than 25% in a business. It's hard to make 25% when you can. In a business, it is hard to make it in the stock market. So people gravitated to the fixed income market. And that's really a matter of government policies, really, that caused that.
Do you see any light at the end of the tunnel for the stock exchange? Are you excited about the possibilities that the junior market can bring to the Jamaican economy?
The junior market is one, but the big thing is the fact that the interest rate is down to 6%. And unless it stays there, there won't be any recovery for the stock market. You need to have a competitive market. You need to have something where the stock exchange is offering you something better than the fixed income market. And unless we keep it down there, it's going to be very difficult. The junior market is doing a lot to bring it back.
One of the things that as a business person myself, one of the things that always strikes me is the question of whether there is too much bureaucratic red tape in the stock exchange. I mean, to get on the stock market is a very rigorous process. We all know that. Does that frighten potential listees, so to speak, or is it a blessing?
No, it really frightened a lot of listees. And that's why when the junior market was established, we changed all the rules and made things easier for them. For instance, one of the biggest expenses in a public offering is the production of the prospectus and the printing of it. Now, the rules were you had to put it in a newspaper, print it in a newspaper, and that can cost you almost $1 million a page. And the amount of statutory requirements that are there, everything has to be printed in. So those rules have been changed for both junior and senior market. So you can go on the stock exchange now and post it on your website, which cuts a lot of costs. Then of course the other major cost was the professional fees, the legal fees and the accounting fees. Those have been cut because we worked on it at the stock exchange in terms of finding a simpler way of putting the things together. So the fees are not that onerous anymore. And that's why you see so many listings going in the junior market.
Well, quite aptly put. Let's just look at Barita's role in terms of the products that you've developed over the years. Of all the products that you've developed over the years, what give me some of the products that, in your opinion, have really taken the Jamaican market? What is your most popular product, so to speak, financial product?
Money market fund.
Why?
Because you make a lot of money on that. Because you're
low risk.
You're too low risk. First and foremost, everything in a money market fund. Remember, now this is a legal fund. This is not just a fund we're creating here, and so it has trustees. All the assets are registered in the name of the trustee, not in Burrito. So we do not hold those securities. And they ensure through the trust deed that the rules of the fund are maintained. And if they see us doing something or investing in a wrong place, I can relate to one incident we started in '93 with that fund. And I remember the trustees call us up once and say, we see you putting money into certain places and we are not approving. We're not approving of that. That's their function, to see to it that we keep on the straight and narrow path. So that, to me, is one of my finest products. I'm not the only one that has it. There are four companies with funds. Because pool funds give you a larger interest rate than individual funds. Whereas you may get, right now you may get 3% on your small money. You go into the fund, you're going to get whatever the market is saying out there for $20 million or so. So you get that benefit. It is, and then the security of it all. That is our most popular. That is what we push a lot.
We want to talk to you a little bit about some of the other products that you offer. Just before the break, you spoke about the money market fund. Are there any other products that the Barita Investment House offers a customer?
Well, we also have another fund for capital growth fund, which really invests in the stock market. So there are two funds. In addition to that, we have pension fund management. We have portfolio management. We do portfolios for people. We do and regular trading. Trading means repos, bonds. We set any form of instrument that is there, retail. So we have a big retail department. That's the biggest part of our business. But most of it now is being geared towards the funds because it is far better for the client.
Exactly. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Barita and the branching out of Barita. You had 3 separate companies. Tell us a little bit about that.
When we started Barita Investments, I was a major shareholder. I was his only shareholder. Then we formed Barita Unit Trust and Unit Trust Management Company, because the funds have to be managed by an independent company. Cannot be mixed with Barita Investments. So we formed that, and we have two funds in that. And then we had Burrito Portfolio Management. And both those companies had outside shareholders other than myself. Right. And the Burrito Portfolio decided that they did not want to join up with Barita Investments when we go public. So they separated themselves from us. And they are now called BPM Financials. We are no longer related. We may have some shares in each company, but there are not no common directors on either the companies. Barita Unit Trust has been merged into Barita Investments. So it's now a wholly owned subsidiary of Barita Investments. We did that to go public, because it would have been difficult to have one part of the company public and the other half not public.
Usually persons who have founded companies usually have a long-term vision of the company. I want to pick your brain a little bit to find out what do you see of Barita 10, 15 years down the road? Are there any possible plans to expand into the North American market or in the Caribbean? Is that where you're looking, or you're looking to fully saturate Jamaica? Tell us a little bit about what your plans are.
Both. Let me put it that way. Already we have two branches, one in Montego Bay and one in Mandeville. Saturating Jamaica first, because I know this market and I'm very comfortable with this market. The markets now are becoming very dangerous. And you never know which country is going to fail next. As a matter of fact, I was reading in today's editorial in Observer that aid to developing and semi-developed countries may be cut off, because the developed world is feeling the pinch. And they are looking and saying, now, instead of giving aid to these lesser countries, we need the aid. And some of them really, like Greece, for instance, need a lot of help, and Spain. The world is really going through a major change. And I don't know where it is going to end up, I must tell you that. But what we are doing right here in Jamaica, what we are at Burrito are ensuring is that we stay safe, we keep our waters clear, and we stay away from trouble. So expansion in those areas is not a today thing. It has to be, the world needs to settle down first. Thank you very much.
I'm curious to know what you think of the Jamaican economy at present. You've seen a number of prime ministers, you've seen a number of finance ministers. When you look at what you face in this situation, what's your view on the Jamaican economy?
Well, it's a hard question to answer, because in fact we have not heard anything from this new government. The last government had done some substantial things in terms of bringing interest rate down, and that is a major success, because it has changed a lot of things. It has kept the dollar stable, it has kept the market stable, and the businesses are borrowing at much lesser rates. So it has done, that's a major change. What will happen tomorrow, we don't know, because we are not sure are we going into an IMF agreement or are we not? Do you know that? I don't.
Sure.
Right. And the thing is that if not, what's the repercussions? What are the problems we are facing? We're facing a lot of pressure. And either we are going to explode or we are going to find a way of soothing things off. It's hard for me to say now. I could say that last year when the government is in power for 4 years. I could see where we were going. Inflation was steady, the dollar was steady, the basic fundamentals were steady. If we do not get the IMF now, the dollar may fly and the interest rates may fly.
And therefore, it has an implication on business confidence, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. Yes.
As a business person, it seems to me that if I put your words in context, business people right now are not sure what to make of what is happening.
That is
If
correct.
that is so, then they're not going to be hiring, correct?
That's correct.
And therefore, the employment situation might get worse,
But it's getting worse.
right? What advice would you give to the Prime Minister as it relates to, you know, what is happening now?
Hurry up with the medicine that has to be applied and get the IMF agreement in place. And we may miss the boat if we don't act now, because there are too many other countries going after the IMF for their money. And the developed countries are feeling the squeeze by financing the IMF. So we better hurry up with it.
Final question. It has been a great discussion. When you look at the global economic crisis that, you know, is facing all countries, are you of the opinion that Europe, the fact that the United States and Europe is in such a financial crunch, that ultimately their problems become our problem, and that's why we're not able to get ourselves out of the mess? Is that a huge part of the problem, or we're creating our own problems in Jamaica?
No. We are affected by those problems badly, because look at oil, the price of oil. We're affected by everything that happens over there, because we are now a global economy. So it is affecting us. And as they are saying now, they are not sure if they have money to lend other people. And that's where another problem comes in. We hope the Chinese can step in.
Mrs HumphriesLewin, thank you very, very much for making the time out to talk to us, and we wish you all the best with Barita.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Not a problem.